Network. Because you can handle the truth.
You're listening to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. How's it, buddy?
Alright, so we're just going to jump right into this episode tonight. Yes, you're listening to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show, and I am your host, V. And I do know that we're still trying to sync up this calendarly thing, and we've got some extraordinary guests that are going to be on the show coming up here in the future. And it's stuff that is just stuff that I want to talk about, things that we're going to be talking about, because, well, we're going to be we're going to take off the kid gloves. We're going to take off the kid gloves. And I wanted to give Kristen the chance, the opportunity to speak more with Will, because I have my other co-host Will here with us, because she was having technical difficulties yesterday, and I believe she's still having technical difficulties today. But Will, I wanted to hop back in with this DCF thing, and I hope that you are willing to do so.
Yes, and I was definitely going to butt in at one point during the show today, regardless, because we went on a long tangent last night about it's DCYF here in Rhode Island. Other places it's DCF. Some places it's Child Protective Services, CPS. But here in Rhode Island it's DCYF. And we're talking about the connections to the governor, the labor unions here, the media, the Speaker of the House, and how that also, those people tied into what we would call the deep state. And I was talking about how on my YouTube channel and with emails and calls, I've relentlessly asked about these missing kids, because just in Rhode Island, we have 20 to 25 children that go missing every single day. As a country, we have roughly 800,000 that go missing every single year. But right after we talked about this last night, I just got word. I got out of work and I saw the article, and I'm going to be pulling it up just in a moment here. But the head of DCYF here, she just stepped down and resigned, and she's going to Arizona. So I'm going to be pulling that up. So it's pretty interesting.
We have Kristen with us as well. So go ahead and pull that up and make sure Kristen's hot over here. Kristen, can you hear us? So it looks like we have gotten through the technical issues going on here today. I think we have a really hot topic here. And you guys know what the hell it is I'm going to say. So I really want to preface, before Will starts reading this article, I want to preface this by saying, for someone to go missing, it's very hard when you live in a surveillance state to go missing. Me as a black man, I have it on the extreme level. Like living in America, if I stand somewhere for longer than 15 minutes, I have people staring at me.
What you doing out here, boy? You don't look like you're from around here.
Exactly. So for me to and I've been a homeless man before, for me to be able to sit underneath a tree in a park for longer than an hour with my eyes closed, I've got police on me telling me to move it on. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. The only place I have not been harassed, I mean, you can go into a food joint. You eat your meal. You're there for longer than 2 hours. They're telling you to leave. There's just no place you can stand. There's no place you can be and not be harassed in the surveillance state. I've had to buy, city bus tickets just to circle around town to sleep for 4 or 5 hours, unharassed. So, for me, the idea of someone going missing is out of my realm of imagination.
They said they could check a date on a dime on a satellite in the 90s, but yet they don't know where these kids are?
So that's telling me that this is government aided. These people are being stashed away. Either that or some cartel, which I'm pretty sure the governments are watching, funding, or just aiding in some way, shape, or form. So
it's funny because we have this whole surveillance state, right? This big nanny state, and it's to protect us or to keep a record if anything happens. But it's really weird because it wasn't there with Princess Diana. It wasn't there with the Pentagon. It's not there with these missing kids. It's just like they're always there watching you, like you said, especially if you're a black man. They're always there watching you, but they can't seem to find bin Laden, and they can't seem to find these child traffickers. So, what is really, like you said, it has to be they're at least aiding and abetting, bare minimum, the government. Because, how much, the CIA, its budget isn't even classified. It's classified. We don't even know how much we pay them. And they can't find bin Laden, they can't find out what's going on with Diana, they don't have the video from the Pentagon, but they sure enough have video on people like V who like to speak out against their agenda.
Exactly. Black budget operations. Yeah, they apparently dropped bin Laden in the ocean, bringing him back, and the whole team that caught him is now dead. So,
and it's funny too that they always give us these explanations that not only don't make any sense at all, but they also contradict explanations they've given before. So they publicly hung Saddam, but publicly, right? Supposedly.
Right.
But yet with bin Laden, it would be terrible if we had his body. And, well, when the planes hit the towers, they came down to ash. Duh. But then when it hit the Pentagon, only one small part where $2.3 trillion was missing the day before goes to ash. They want us to believe not only one unbelievable lie, but another unbelievable lie at the same time, which is contradictory to that unbelievable lie. Can you speak to that? Because that really blows my mind.
Well, I guess when they say lie big.
I guess so, and I guess, you know what? Only the fact that they're officials and they have this perceived power, I guess, this perceived authority, I guess it's really all perception, because you couldn't get away with this. I couldn't get away with something like this.
And that's the thing that really irritates me. It's like they don't even try anymore because we are so dumb, we're so docile. There's no way in hell that any of us are going to speak up. There's no way any of us are going to speak out, stand up, take action.
Let me
it's
ask
like they
you
don't even
this.
try.
So some people have this. Okay, so there's a bunch of different schools of thought out there. So some people say that they do this stuff on purpose because it's almost vampiric and occultish, and they have to be able to tell you what they're doing beforehand. Then there's other people that say it's like gaslighting you and laughing at you. Then some people are saying the normies aren't going to know anyways, and they're just telling the people that are awake, back the heck up. And I've heard some other theories too. What is your take on that, or do you even have a take on that?
It's a combination of all of that, and really what sits on top of that, it's the arrogance, it's the pride. You know how they say the devil's downfall was his pride? That's how I think this is going to end up as well, because these people will gloat, and they'll put the clues right there in front of your faces. Yeah, you can figure it out, but what are you going to do about it? As I was just saying. So, it's foolish, arrogant pride. because they want you to figure it out. It's just like in the James Bond movies, okay? The villain has to tell you his plan. And these things leak, always. For example, the chemtrail stuff, the smart test, that NASA document got leaked, okay? There's a lot of things that get leaked. Project Bluebeam, that got leaked. But they're doing it anyways. And I think they leaked this top secret stuff on purpose to see if anybody's going to stand up against it.
Yeah, and just to your point, to back you up here, you know, it's, or even, I guess, to take it one step further, I mean, when you were first talking about this stuff, the chemtrails, and I was talking about this stuff, this was something, and still is, and this is another perfect example, right, of what I was just talking about. So I always check my Google News feed, my my Apple Stories or whatever. I go through the news every day. I get the news alerts, and I scroll through it like a few times a day. And I will, and you know how Google, it's like artificial intelligence, and based on what you, I'm not sure if anybody has the Google Home app or whatever it is, not Home or whatever, just the Google search app, but anybody out there that has an Android probably knows what I'm talking about. And based on things you search, whether it be new sneakers or Peter Strzok or Teletubbies, whatever you're into, Google is going to feed you information, videos, and news articles based on that in this little filter. So I'm always searching, you know, certain political figures and so forth, and geoengineering is one that I search a lot. And before, it used to be, oh, geoengineering's not real, chemtrails are not real, you guys are crazy, put back on your tinfoil hat. But now we've got to the place where they're admitting in mainstream news that they're working and doing stratospheric aerosol injections, and they're admitting this plan in mainstream news, in scientific journals, that they're going to dim the sun. But at the very same time, so I'm getting these news articles off my news feed, and I'll have some things that say, yes, your neighbor is crazy because he believes in chemtrails. And then the other one will be some article out of Scientific American, and they're going to be talking about how, yes, we're going to dim the sun. CBS News, we're going to start dimming the sun. We've already done it. So, I mean, like, what? Maybe it's just information overload, too, because people just don't know what to do with all this.
Well, it's some people who haven't caught up. And I've said this before, it irritates me how people need government validation. And see, that's the mind control of it. They need the official word from the government. Because, yes, the whole thing of, oh, you're crazy because you see chemtrails. But then we had Brennan, a former head of the CIA, show up at a news conference at worldwide news, say, yes, the chemtrails are real. And, you know, oh, it's real now. So, but I have a brain, and I have eyes, and they work in conjunction with each other, and I didn't need anyone to tell me that they were real. As a 6-year-old, I asked my father one day, hey, what's up with the clouds up in the sky? What's with those trails? He told me, well, those are chemtrails. See, my father was retired ex, my late father. Retired, Air Force. And he knew. I was like, what are they for? Oh, weather control. my
Your
father
dad was
knew
woke.
this.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, my father told me this was a 6-year-old. So, come on. All right, we'll dive back to this.
Listen to me very carefully.
You are listening to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. How's baby?
That's right. That's right. You are absolutely listening to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. I'm your host, B, and I have my co-host here with me as well, Will. And these things, I like talking about these things. The fact that these people need government validation. And there are some people that are out there that just believe the government can do no wrong. I'm pretty sure there's some people out there saying, oh, well, the CIA is just now declassifying it because of this reason or that reason, or they're just telling us what we want to hear. They're not really doing anything evil. There's some people out there that will defend the government no matter what. These people will scare the living daylights out of me.
Yeah,
and so...
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean, it's really gotten to the point where, I mean, my people that I know, I'm very close to, I'll just leave it at that, they're far smarter than I am. And even when presented with all these facts, and they know what's going on, and they just can't admit it. So there's a lot of people out there that are smart enough, and they just can't admit it. There's a lot of people that just love the government. They're just normal people, and they just think, oh, these people could never do wrong. They're authorities. They're local officials say, that, well, it has to be right, And it's so funny how people think that corruption, like, people get arrested from every profession all the time, right? Like, teachers get arrested, police officers get arrested. People think that, like, oh, once you get into the government or whatever, magically you turn into such like a heroic, honorable person. And the funny part about it is too, they get you to believe it too, because even the local state senators and at least the state senators and the governor, they're known as the honorable. And then even in the Congress, in the most honorable, like, that's so ridiculous.
Well, and I actually read an article recently that talked about police officers. Now, out of all the professions that there are, I at least want the police officers to be honorable. Even if our politicians are corrupt and crooked, I want there to be a clean buffer there in between us. But they are so corrupt too. I think they're probably the most corrupt. I read this article not too long ago about a missing child that this police officer had kidnapped and had her tied up in a sex sling and had been raping her for 6 days. Her and a dog. How perverse. A small child. And he was arrested. So, as far as these missing children are concerned, you can't even depend on the police turning over these children if they're found.
And that's the crazy part about it is these police officers, like, they don't, like, there are good cops, right? But I challenge cops to their face too, and I say, hey, there's no such thing as a good cop, because if there was a good cop, they'd be out investigating the corrupt cops too. You took an oath to the Constitution. That's all enemies, foreign and domestic. And there's the thin blue line. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to snitch on each other, not going to tell on each other, and it's really sad. I mean, the other day, like about a month ago, I went to East Providence, which is a separate city from the capital city here in Providence, Rhode Island. And there's some cop on tape, who had this young woman, I'd say. She's probably an adult, looked like so from the video. She was just standing up in front of the car, posing no threat, doing nothing, and he just elbows her in the back of her head. And so we went down there to ask for the name and get the police report. And there's an individual over here, shout outs to Auditing America, this kid Enrique Torres, and he goes out to, police stations, other government buildings, places that are legal and lawful to film, just films, and invariably he gets accosted. He's only been arrested twice just by cops that don't know their rights, but all the cops know him and they hate him, and they so much. Like when we came to ask questions, they were like, "Hey, aren't you Enrique?" And he was like, yeah, oh, when's your bail? When's your this? When's your that? Da-da-da. Oh, how you doing? Da-da-da. And I know this about you. I know that about you. I was like, wow, you really know a lot about this kid. I was like, can you give us any information on the officer that elbowed that woman in the face? Oh, no, I got to go. I'm busy. I got to see you. See you later. So, I mean, this is the extent. And that's the problem is, like, it may be that group mentality and maybe being part of the in crowd. You know, I don't know what it is, but, yeah, the cops, it's not Andy Griffith anymore.
No, they're not. So I want to get to that article when we come back from commercial break, because this is our short segment. I really want to get into what you found, because the missing children, we got to get to this thing, and we need to be very vigilant and staying on top of these people when it comes to these missing children. So, yeah, when we come back from commercial break.
Prepare yourself! Prepare yourself!
You are listening to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. House Buddy.
Yes. We are back from commercial break. So, Will, I want to talk about this article that you mentioned before.
Yeah, I'll jump right in. So this article is from turn210.com. It's our local NBC. So if you guys are scoring at home, it's turn210.com. And the headline is DCYF Director Steps Down. Again, if you guys are just jumping in, DCYF here is a local CPS or DCF. It's different names, different places. But her name is Trista Piccola. Trista Piccola announced Wednesday that she is stepping down as the director of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families and relocating to Arizona. And this is a quote, "It's never, to be honest with you, a great time to leave a position like this, but my family is a priority right now," Piccola told reporters during a conference call Wednesday. Now, she's only been here 2 years. Why is her family all of a sudden a priority now? Not sure. Yeah, so Piccola was appointed in January 2017 by Governor Gina Raimondo, who is a Rhodes Scholar, member of the Council on Foreign Relations, Aspen Institute. And Gina says, "I'm grateful for Trista's years of public service to Rhode Island children and families," said Raimondo in a statement. "Under her leadership, DCYF has worked hard to reduce the number of foster children living in congregate care, living in foster home families, and keeping kids in their home communities whenever possible." The department also announced that it would undergo a, quote, "independent top-to-bottom review with the Rhode Island Coalition for Children. The review will help new leadership determine the next steps." And she said she takes great pride in their accomplishments, but Trista Piccola came under fire after the death of a 9-year-old girl with special needs and work. In that case, investigators say that Zanae Wilkerson had been living in a bathtub for up to 8 hours and living in squalid conditions. The girl was in the care of her adopted mother, Michelle Rothkip, who had 8 children in her care and was later charged with manslaughter. So this is just one woman, but they don't tell you in this article is this one woman had many young children, very, very young children. I'm talking about 13, 14, 16 years old where they can go to work and do chores. And not only did she have 8 children in her care, they were all special needs kids, right? And they kept giving her kids and kids and kids and kids. And then one time somebody actually went out there to check on them, and she had an upstairs locked, and the DCYF person, she wouldn't let him in. And she said, "No, I need to go there." She was like, "Well, no, you're not going in." And they just left and never even followed up on that. But if they like your kid, V, and they don't like the way his socks are looking, or maybe they're mismatched that day, they can come take your kid. But this lady, she can get 8 kids, some of whom I believe the majority, if not all of them, but definitely some of them have mental problems and other handicaps. She got 8 of them. And they just go to their house, and that's it. So now and later in the article, they're saying, "Oh, we need more resources, more resources." Oh, so you need more money, and that's what they ask for. And they always constantly ask for more money. And you know what? As much money as you throw at a problem, it doesn't do anything. It's funny too, because if you go online and look at the salaries for the people that work in DCYF, they're making 6 figures, the top people. But they're not going to slash that part of the budget, and and it's just so funny. It's like that's a perfect excuse. Like, oh, we messed up. Give us more money. Give us more money. And the most sickening thing about all of this is, and this is just one example of this young child dying, but over the last year or so, we've had kids being pimped out. We've had, just the other day, somebody going to the hospital for malnutrition under DCYF care. And, not one person ever got charged for any of this inside DCYF. Not one person even lost their job. So, I mean, where a kid dies and nobody gets fired at that place, and now she's just going to go move with her family to Arizona because her family's a priority now. I guess they weren't a priority before. So I wonder why she's only there for 2 years. She comes and leaves it in a more terrible place than she came and took it from. So it's just incredible. I'm thinking that this is just like the Catholic Church. It seemed, and this lady was from New York before that. So she went to New York, maybe did a terrible job over there, came here, did a terrible job here. She's going to go to Arizona, probably do the same thing. And it reminds me of the Catholic Church. Just in Pennsylvania alone, it came out that over 100 priests were molesting, 300 priests were molesting over 1,000 children. Instead of getting reprimanded, they just moved them to different areas in the diocese and different churches so they could molest more. And I'm not saying Trista Pickle is doing that, but I'm just saying that's what this reminds me of. Like, how does nobody not only not go to jail from DCYF, but nobody even lost their job and a freaking kid died?
Well, you bring up a good point there. Having money, they're not the problem. More money, they're not the problem. With my experience with government, and I used to work for the government, my experience with government is that the more money you throw at them for a problem, the less of it is taken care of. Now, last episode, you mentioned having money thrown at issues, and it's really sort of like how you said the mob can turn a profit, the mob can get the job done, but with the government, the more money you throw at them, the worse the problems get.
It's like we messed up again, give us more money, it'll be better this time. Looks like we messed up again. You're going to have to give us a little more money.
Well, I think it should be like with anything else. I know if you have like a startup company or you have a business, you've got to get investors. You have to turn over results if you're going to keep that money and get more money. I say if you're having problems with your organization, your department, your agency, money needs to be deducted for every problem that you have. In order, if they're not going to get fired for their positions because, these people are hard to find. It's hard to find care for these children. It's hard to find this and that. Well, let's put it into perspective, shall we? If these children are worse off in your care than the place where you stole them from, guess what? There's no need for your job. And we need to start deducting money from these institutions based on that concept alone.
Imagine you sign LeBron James to a 1-year contract, and all of a sudden his team goes 0-82. And LeBron tells you, because you're the head coach, you're the general manager, V, you know what? I just need some more. I just need some more money. How many years are you going to keep paying 0-82? I mean, like you said, it's not even 0-82. It's like -4 or 5 in how many kids they miss or whatever. It's just absolutely crazy. And I guess that kind of gets me to a point I wanted to write. I wrote down to ask you earlier when it comes to this too. Is I don't know you super well, V, but I do know you well enough to I hopefully speak for you, and if I'm wrong, correct me. People like yourself and me have been pleading day after day, night after night, come join us, come help us, do something. What is it? Because what is it about the psychology? Because I mean, I know it's different for certain people. Like certain people know that something's going on, and they're not humble enough to admit that they could be wrong, or they're scared. Some people just don't know what's going on. But I mean, it seems like there's only 8 people that are like, okay, do you guys see what's going on? Is this bothering anybody? I mean, like what you said yesterday, and I told people all day about this today. What you said, it's like Robert Frost. It's better than Robert Frost poetry. You said your local mental hospital is Guantanamo, and until people, like, what is it going to take? Why are people inactive? And there's even people too that watch all your stuff, that watch my stuff or follow my work, share my work, but they still don't do anything. Like, what is the psychology of this all? Like, it's because it's really depressing. It's like, what do we have to do? What's the psychology of it all, and what do we have to do to get some people get their butts out there?
Well, this actually starts, and it's very simple. This actually starts with the debt slavery system, and we're taxed on top of it. Okay, we need to take control of our taxes. Okay, we need a second Boston Tea Party, because as long as they're taking half of your weekly wage, okay, and that's going into the military industrial complex to keep you imprisoned, policed, and paying more taxes, well, there's not much that you can do. It starts there. We need a reform in our government and how the money is handled. Because if it's cream, cash rules everything around me, cash is king, then we need to stop giving up that power so easily. We need a society that says, okay, we're willing to pay taxes, but we determine how it's spent. And we need to have a public budget and saying how it's spent. You know, we need like a mad money sort of scenario where we're looking at how much everyone's paid in, the total, what departments. We have a choice to put the money in and go from there. So long as we are paying this militarized police surveillance society, well, people are going to be too afraid to speak out because, well, I have a mortgage, I have a family to feed, you know, got the old ball and chain, and so long as we're stuck in that, and on top of it, with this, you know, people are loving their amenities, all the devices, their standard of living. Nobody wants to give any of that up. Yeah, you may work like a dog 8-10 hours out of the day, but at least you get to come home and lay on your couch and watch the Idiot Box and stuff your face with GMO foods until you pass out and get to do it all over again. And people are slave to that.
Yeah, and you know, just to add to your point, what you said is so damn true. It's sad and it really hurts in my soul, but you're right. And adding to that GMO food and stuff too, there's articles from CNN back in the day, just Oreos are just as addicting in Burger King. Like, it's like it lets the chemicals off in your head. It's like crack cocaine to us, and
It's
literally,
like crack cocaine.
literally crack cocaine. So, I mean, I haven't kicked completely all of my diet's not where it should be too. I mean, I was raised off processed foods, and you know, you get that in you, and it's a wonder of the imagination that people are still as healthy as they are. I guess it's just a testament to the human body, all the stuff we put in ourselves, especially here in the United States. I don't know if it's as bad out there in Europe, but you know, with the stuff that we put in our body, it's funny too, because you know, a lot of the stuff that we eat, like a double cheeseburger with bacon and a whole bunch of fries, whatever, that kind of meal was meant for like people that worked in the coal mines and were on their feet 18 hours a day. Now we're just staring at a screen and we're still eating the same things. And not just the food though. What do you think of Europe? You know, most people here in the United States, we Europe is like, that's not even a thing to us. We don't even consider Europe. If it's not our local news and it's not like Trump or Clinton, we don't know what's going on. What are the similarities or not similarities as far as Europe food and how things are playing out over there in regards to this whole situation?
Well, I live in another Israel-controlled country, so you can't believe the money scams that go on here. You better have insurance for everything, or else you're going to be paying out of pocket, even though things are not your responsibility. For example, I own the apartment that I live in by proxy with someone else, and we had a water pipe burst in the wall in the bathroom. The water damage didn't damage my apartment, but it damaged the apartment below and above. Now, that is a building issue. That's not a homeowner issue. But yet, we were made to pay out for that. It's a lot of the pass the buck issue. It's a lot of people trying to make you pay for things. Now, luckily, the cost of living here is extremely cheap. I love Poland for that, but it's a lot of that people trying to duck out and make you pay for things that aren't your responsibility. And I blame that for the I'll just, not to be racist, I'll just call it the Israel influence issue here. And it's, well, I mean, I love the food. The food's great. You know, it's harder to push GMO here, even though you can go to a corner store and still find all the same major brands like M&M's, Doritos, stuff like that. But you can also buy the local stuff here that does not have GMO.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, the food is excellent. The water, oh, it's great. America's water is like Mexico water, by comparison. There's no fluoride. So, and there's a lot of aspects that I love about being here in Poland. The police look at me like I'm anybody else. They'll look at me, and then they'll go on about their business. I'm not like in America, where I'm mean mugged by all these wannabe Agent Smiths with their earpiece and their sunglasses, mean mugging me, staring down, trying to follow me where I'm going, and trying to approach me just to start an issue, just to start trouble, where they can put me in handcuffs and take me in. Like they're bounty hunters or something.
Gotta make that quota. They are bounty hunters. They're gonna make a quota.
Well, that doesn't exist here. In my entire 2, 3, coming up 4 years of being here, I've maybe seen all of maybe 5 cop cars. I don't even remember what they look like.
Wow, dude. That's the whole thing, because, oh man, like you know how it is too, and I mean, even just as a white person, but me, I grew up in I was the only, I was one out of 3 white people in my high school, and we actually just had a Wall Street Journal report about how poor Providence schools are, and meanwhile our mayor is taking a vacation to Hawaii while we have the worst schools ever, and he's posting pictures up on social media. But, I mean, growing up with being the only white person in the car and the things that the cops would do to you, even if we had nothing, searching the whole car, taking everything out of the trunk, making us sit on the sidewalk and below freezing temperature, then put that crap back in the thing. But there's, even if you're just a regular, I mean, I guess unless you're like a lawyer or a super rich white dude, we all get that feeling like when you see a cop or someone's behind you, get that tense feeling, you're all scooped up. I cannot even imagine what it must be like to live. Because I've never lived outside of a police state, and I guess that must be like the most refreshing thing ever. I don't even think people in the United States who don't travel could even imagine that.
Well, I did have a racist moment where I went. I may be all over independent media, but I'm really an antisocial person. I don't like being out in public because this may sound pompous or arrogant, but I have the general sense that people are, I don't want to say stupid, but they're just not awake. So I feel like I'm in a land of zombies every time I go outside. So I do all my shopping, and I try to do it one time. So I'll hop from store to store to store and get it all done. But one day I had my rucksack, my army bag filled with groceries. I'm walking into the hardware store, big, like Home Depot type of store they have here. I'll go ahead and say the name, Leroy's, something like that. And I walk in there, and I'm in line to get the few items that I need. And I've got this big Nazi-looking security guard saying that I stole from their store. I came in with an empty bag and come to register with a full bag. It was his story, and he's seen me on camera take stuff. Not only did I make him go get his manager to talk to me, but I was recording. There was another Polish guy next to me who was translating for me, and he was recording. And I said, I'm not emptying the bag. And the manager called the police, and you know, whatever, the police officer showed up, you know, showed him my passport and all that, and I made them empty the bag. Now, I'm in a hardware store, and nothing but food items came out. The look of embarrassment on everyone's face, except for the racist Nazi security guard, the manager apologized profusely to me, and even loaded my bag back up, and it was great. The police officers even apologized to me. Great guys. The sergeant had a mohawk. I mean, we're outside talking, joking around while waiting on my cab to go back home. So they're like, we want to do this, but you know, you put us in the position. It's like, yeah, I know. I did that on purpose to make a point. And next thing you know, that guy was fired, the security guard. Because, yeah, I told him who I was, like, after it was all done. It's like, I have a TV show. If this guy's still hired here, next time I come back here, I'm putting you on blast.
For real. For real.
So there are the differences that are good, and then there's some that aren't so good. It's actually not the first time I've been in that scenario where I've had the racist security guard follow me around everywhere in the store. Now I've recorded them, had them fired as well.
Well, I know what that's like being white. I mean, one time I went out to dinner, and I accidentally got spicy mayonnaise instead of regular, and I was perturbed, to say the least.
Well, you know, we are coming down to the end of the show. Is there anything that you want to plug before we head out?
Check out my YouTube, Demand the Truth. Share my videos. If you guys want to allow me to stop being a waiter and do this full time, donate $1 to me or $5 to me a month on Patreon. Super cheap, and I'd appreciate it. And again, I'd like to thank V for this. And if you have no money and you can't, if you don't like this show, if you don't like V, if you don't like me, then hey, then at least that you can do is just Google Rhode Island General Assembly. You can just look me up on Facebook or Twitter, Will Turbitt, Turbitt. Look me up. I will send you the email addresses and the phone numbers. Copy and paste. Send an email to the people here in Rhode Island. We just got to reach the critical mass. If we get everybody from all over the world saying, hey, what's going on with these missing kids? Hey, what's going on? Maybe these guys will get off their butts and do something, and then we can move on from there. But again, V, thank you very much, and I look forward to speaking with you again tomorrow night.
Absolutely. And tomorrow night, we are due to have a man by the name of Rob Hutch. I believe he is going to give us some information about being a target individual, and I know he also has some information about a guy I interviewed on my TV show, Targeted, who, the episode was never seen because the guy was just pitching so much false information that, I'm all about free speech with my media, but when you're just kicking out misinformation after misinformation, it's just an episode we had to trash. And the guy fired back at us on social media saying that we're perps and all this and that, and it's like, okay, guy, well, whatever. But a lot of people came to our defense, and this is one of the guys who had lots of information about this guy, especially with him having clear-cut evidence of him being Nazi, Aryan Nation, white supremacist, and all that, which I kind of picked up anyways. The guy had tattoos all over his skin and head and all that, and he looked very angry when speaking to me, and even after the show, proceeded to tell me that I had a lot of fake TIs on the show, and it's like, no, I know who I have on my show, and you're not going to make it to the final cut either. So, anyways, with that said, this is the Red Pill Hardcore radio show, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and catch us tomorrow night.